Special guest on this subject with us today, former Goldman Sachs partner. His name is Peter Kiernan, a very heavy hitter.
Nice to be with you.
There's an introduction, okay?
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure I can live up to it, but I'll do my best.
People pay good money for an introduction like that.
I'll see you later.
You say that developments in Saudi Arabia are what's affecting the oil market and the stock market here. Explain.
Yes, first of all, there's a very tight connection right now between the price of oil and the stock market. And you see the markets go through these periods where they get fixated on one thing. Right now, it's the price of oil. What's going on in Saudi Arabia is they intend to remain king of the jungle. They make about 1 out of every 8 barrels of oil that's produced. And they are producing now for market share. They don't mind so much that the oil prices have come down. In fact, for those producers in the United States, it's a little bit of a case of welcome to the jungle. You want to play? Okay, let's play tough.
So that's still the underlying factor. Forget Nigeria's oil production and Venezuela and fires in Canada. The underlying reason why the price of oil is in the 40s is Saudi Arabia's production.
What you've hit on is, yes, there have been disruptions. There have been disruptions that are temporary. But if you look at the fundamentals, the long term, what we've got to see is a point where oil supply and oil demand meet. Right now, there's more oil than we need.
Okay, tell me about Venezuela. My analysis is that basically they're running out of other people's money. They're very, very close to collapse. I mean, look at the street scenes. It's the failure of socialism, but we hear that China is coming through to give them some money in return for some of their oil. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's a death rattle. Frankly, when your #1 financier gives you another extension, they are into a tune of about $50 billion in the last 10 years in Venezuela. But if you look at Venezuela just on the face of it, it has the 4 uglies. Last year, it was a -6% GDP. It has inflation of 180% a year. It has shortages of everything, including, you've seen some horror reports of children dying in hospitals. There are factories that have been shuttered because they don't have raw materials. And they, yes, have to cope with a continuation of low-priced oil. You're at $100 a barrel. It's the land of milk and honey. And this was one of those countries that was basically run as a welfare state. And they saved nothing for the rainy day. Well, folks, it's pouring rain outside.
Now, surely, you can see it coming a mile off. We will be asked, America will be asked for humanitarian aid at the very least, if not some money. Should we give it? Should we do it?
Look, these people are in enormous pain, and you can't blame the people of Venezuela for what I think is egregiously bad leadership that goes back literally to the legacy of Chavez. Now, one of the things that's interesting is this nation has not gone to the IMF for at least a decade. There are many institutions designed by the world to help countries that are in distress. So far, Venezuela has no interest in working with them.
But they want our money.
Pride goeth before the fall. Yes, and one of the things that's going to happen is when you exhaust the patience, there's only so many times that Beijing is going to bail out Caracas. I think we're approaching that scene right now.
All right, take a live look at Capitol Hill. You're looking at the House Oversight Committee, which is holding a hearing on the Iran nuke deal. White House Security Advisor Ben Rhodes did not show up. He was asked to appear. He did not appear. But Peter, give me the big picture here. You say that the Iran deal was a bait-and-switch tactic, right?
There's no question about that. There was an urge to try and bring Iran into the international community. But the sanctions are such that here's the dilemma. You go to a European bank, as John Kerry did recently, to say, leading bankers in Europe, not to worry. If you're doing legitimate business, it's fine by me. They're saying, well, help me with this. We've been fined $15 billion in the last 5 years for dealing with Iran. The reassurance of the Secretary of State is a long way from a true license. What are we allowed to do? Now, here's the problem. If you look at Iran, if it involves drilling for oil, if it involves shipping oil, if it involves minerals of any kind, that is conducted in dollars around the world. No one is interested in the rial. Let's get rial. The fact is the only way that Iran's coming back is to basically deal in dollars. What I believe is going to happen is the European banks are going to balk. There's no way they're going to do this because every time they wade in, they get their hands slapped. And the U.S. is not speaking with one voice. Just in February, the U.S. Treasury was saying, these are known sponsors of terror in Iran. We can't be dealing with them. They're big money laundering problems. Now I'm a European bank executive. Why am I going to wander into that swamp?
That's a mess.
It's a huge mess, and frankly, it was 100% predictable. If you're dealing with Iran and saying you can get back into business, but oil and minerals is going to be a problem, what are you thinking? In 1974, Iran was producing 4 million barrels of oil a day. They were a huge player in oil, and oil, then as now, is conducted in dollars. What I think we're going to have to do is you'll see some noise about creating a warehouse. Looks like a bank, acts like a bank. It'll be like one of those drug zone drops where you put the money in, the cash in, somebody comes in and takes it out and says, well, it's not a bank, but we've just exchanged dollars. It's the only way around this. Look for warehousing. That's going to be the solution that the Obama administration comes up with.
Let me talk politics here at home. You must be watching Varney and Company, because we've been saying this for months. Bernie Sanders is pushing Hillary Clinton to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left, and out of her comfort zone. And I believe that's your point of view, too.
It is, and in fact, everybody watches Varney, don't they? I mean, the truth is, I had to do it. I want to come back. I want to come back. Right. No, here's the dilemma that Hillary faces. Look, she and her husband have a long legacy of comfortable dealings with Wall Street, back to when Bob Rubin was Secretary of Treasury, excuse me. And so now Hillary's trying to pretend, well, you know, we're not really that close to Wall Street. We're going to be tough on Wall Street. Well, when she was a U.S. Senator from New York, it was a hometown senator, and that was hometown business. Suddenly, she's being pulled. So where is true north for Hillary as it relates to Wall Street? No one really knows. The signal is she's out pulling everyone else by far in donations from Wall Street. Yes. And that, to me, is an indication they think she's going to drift back. The problem is everybody knows, including Bill Clinton, who did it himself, the path to the White House lies in the center. And she's being pulled by Elizabeth Warren. She's being pulled by Bernie. And Bernie's going to run, as Bill Clinton says, till the last dog dies. He's going to stay in this all the way to the convention. Why? He wants his planks in the convention, in the platform, and Hillary's going to have to face that fight, and leaving the opportunity for Donald Trump to take the center. If he would only do it, there's a path to the White House, and it goes through the center.
Peter Kiernan, former senior partner at Goldman Sachs?
Well, I was a partner at Goldman Sachs.
Oh, just a partner?
Yes, just one of the working stiffs down there.
But you are the author of the book, American Mojo. Peter, thank you very much for joining us.
Great to be with you again.
Yes, sir. You can come back, okay?
Thank you so much. Okay.